Hi everyone, welcome to week 44. I know that this has been a long time coming and there's only this vlog that you're about to watch and then one more vlog of my time in America, and honestly I think that's why I've been putting off editing it for so long, because once I post my final vlogs, my study abroad year is officially over and I don't want it to be over. But I'm editing this vlog now. I'm gonna try and not put off editing the final one because then I'll do a reflection vlog. So you have 3 left coming from me at some point in the future. Enjoy this one, which is the last week of my Southwest travels road trip. So Sunday night, we literally drove all through the night, did not stop to sleep. We arrived at Grand Teton National Park at 5 a.m. that morning, and it was so stunning. The snow overnight, it was literally like a Christmas movie. Are you kidding me? The scenery, and in a minute you'll see mountains. It was beautiful. So although we drove all night because we just couldn't be bothered finding a spot to sleep in, like when it got late and dark, I'm so glad that we just kept driving because it was so nice to see it when it was so calm and peaceful, and there were loads of elk about in the dark. But then it was also really pretty in the daytime. It used to have Mormon villager communities that lived there in like the 1800s and 1900s, and they don't live there anymore, but their houses are still there as kind of leftovers of that time, and just with the mountain view in the background, it would have been such a stunning place to work. And although I obviously love my life, sometimes I feel like it would be quite nice to just be a Mormon living with those mountains within viewing distance of your back garden. And they had a little museum telling you about it, and obviously we got photos with the national park signs, and Grand Teton and Yellowstone are right next to each other. They basically connect. So we then headed up to Yellowstone National Park, which was the first national park to be opened. It was like being in Iceland. They just have geysers and hot springs, and it was a really interesting and kind of unique landscape. I think Yellowstone was slightly underwhelming for both me and Sarah, because the 2 main draws of Yellowstone is this massive geyser called Old Faithful that shoots off about once every hour, but we didn't see that actually, doing anything. And then the other thing is this kind of colourful pool which has rings around the edge which are like blue and yellow and orange, and from the air, from like drone footage, it looks stunning, but when you just walk past it you can't really see the colours that well. Like the photos are so much cooler than anything that we were able to see on the ground. So it was still like very, very cool, and if I didn't have high expectations for it, I think I would have been a little bit more wowed by it, but I had very high expectations and they sadly weren't met, even though we did see bison, and like the landscape is still cool. I'm not trying to say that it wasn't a cool experience, it just wasn't exactly what we were hoping for, because this is like the colourful stuff that we were hoping to see, and it just wasn't exactly what I wanted, but that's okay, it doesn't have to be. You would get stuck in like massive traffic queues, and you'd be driving in it for like half an hour, like why are we driving so slowly? And then you'd realise it's because everyone's slowing down to look at a bison. Yes, there is. And then you'd be like, okay, fair enough, because we're also going to slow down to take our videos and take our photos. So it's cool. It was a cool experience, but it's such a busy national park. Fun fact, it's one of the most dangerous national parks to visit because the most people die there. It's maybe not the most dangerous, but it's one of the top ones, because people get in car crashes because there's just so many cars on the road and people are looking at bisons and not paying attention. So that is just some facts about Yellowstone for you. So Wyoming, I think, is the least populated state in America, even though it's the 9th largest by landmass, and we would drive through these towns that had specific population numbers on them. So this one says 50, but we saw some that said like 88, some that said 127, and it's just so funny because do you think they change those population signs every time someone's born or has died? Fun to think about. So we drove out to this place called Devil's Tower. That was a long driving day, let me tell you, but it's just this massive, huge stone. Me and Sarah had both seen it on our like Instagram suggested videos over the last year, and we were like, we have like extra days in our road trip, let's just drive up. Yellowstone wasn't a planned trip originally. We just decided to use our extra days going around Wyoming. So up to Yellowstone, across the Devil's Tower. They were both about 6 hours drive, and I was reading Needful Things by Stephen King. Excellent. We went to a restaurant which had these chairs and this sign, which is 12 reasons handguns are better than women. Just to give you the vibe of Wyoming, it was kind of like, it wasn't ever scary. It felt very peaceful and calm, but it's very rural. Hey, I've got so bad at vlogging these few weeks that I've been traveling, and I know this one is going to be very delayed, but we are on week 3 of our travels, and we finished our southwest trip plans super early with a week to spare, so we decided to drive up to Wyoming to go to Yellowstone National Park, and now we have driven out east again along Wyoming to Devil's Tower, which, oh, excuse me, is in the background just there. And then tomorrow we're going to go to Mount Rushmore, a few more national parks, and then probably head back to see some salt flats in Utah before we finish up for, well, the year of studying abroad, coming to an end in less than 2 weeks. And I'm so glad that I'm spending my final few weeks in America traveling around, seeing some wonderful, beautiful nature, and just having some time to reflect and think about things. Although actually not much of that because we are driving a lot. But I think it's good. I think when I get back to Dundee, I'm going to get back into the practice of daily, well, maybe not daily, but home workouts. I need to catch up on my day tracker, diary entry stuff. And lots of reading, seeing friends. All good. All fine and dandy. The sun is setting and Devil's Tower is turning a nice colour, but I need to get my glasses from the car really because I can't really see it. I can, but it's blurry. I'm reading Needful Things by Stephen King. I'm on a bit of a Stephen King binge at the moment, and we're going through a city tomorrow, so I might try and pick up another second-hand copy, either thinner or Cujo is what I'm feeling. Even though I really shouldn't, because I still have 5 books with me that I haven't read, or 2 that I'm halfway through, and then 3 that I haven't read. So I don't need to buy any more Stephen King books, but I want to. I'm really enjoying reading some spooky things, and yeah, loving my travels. I'm excited to see people when I get back, but feeling fine and dandy. Feeling good, like I should. Okay, this is the next morning, sunrise. Here is a car with a Trump drawing on it. Yay! Okay, then we drove into South Dakota to go and see Mount Rushmore, because we both said, we were the only remaining iconic thing that me and Sarah both really wanted to see in America is Mount Rushmore. It's so iconic. So we were it's kind of close to Devil's Tower. When we were deciding whether to do this extra Wyoming bit, we were well, if we go to Devil's Tower, then we can also go to Mount Rushmore. And it was so cool to see it for myself. It was like seeing Monument Valley. It's just a place that I have seen so many times in pictures and films, in The Simpsons even, and then to see it for my own, incredible. What an excellent experience, although they don't take national park passes, which is sad. We had to pay to go in, but it was cool. It was cool. I thought it would be slightly underwhelming, but it wasn't. And then this was our sleep spot for the night. Nice sunset. We got Chinese takeaway that day. Just excellent. Lovely. Okay, the next day we literally just drove, and then we stopped for the night in a cow field, which I show you here. I realised that I haven't really talked to you about how we find our sleep spots. So I have this app called iOverlander where people write in here are places that I've slept the night in my car or in my camper van or whatever, and it shows you where public land is that anyone can camp on. So we just find one of those spots that someone's marked as a place that they've stayed overnight, and they give a little description, sometimes a photo, and we just pull up to it and we just sleep in our car. So today we were just in a desert, and this is actually an open range. So yesterday evening there were quite a few cows out and about who would walk by the car, and we could hear them mooing, and I felt like I was a western frontier man looking after my cows out on the range. Yeah, that's how we've been finding our sleep spots, just places that other people have marked as places that they slept with no trouble, and then we just drive and arrive. Today we have 3 hours to Evanston, and then we are spending 2 nights in a motel, so we're just spending 1 day not moving around, not driving, which I'm very excited for, because we've done a lot of driving and a lot of moving over the last 3 weeks, and it'll be good to just have a reset day, write some postcards, write my diary entries, edit my vlogs, and then the trip's nearly over, and then my year abroad's nearly over. So crazy times, but still super good, super fun. Here are some sunrise photos from that day, and so stunning, very beautiful, but little did we know, disaster had struck. Okay, story time, because I didn't take any videos of this while it was happening, but that morning that I've just finished filming, where I show you the field that we were sleeping in, our car died. The engine would not turn on, nothing was responding, the boot wouldn't open, we could only open the driver's side door, like from the outside. So we were like, okay, the car's dead. We're in a open range in the middle of nowhere. The nearest like village, like small town, was 19 miles away, and we had no phone service. The nearest road was 4 miles away from where our car was. So me and Sarah gathered a load of water into our rucksacks and we headed out. We walked 4 miles to the nearest road, and we were prepared to walk the full 19 miles to the nearest town if we had to, because no phone service all the way along that road, no petrol stations, no little shops to stop at, just fields and nothing else. You remember me telling you about the roads that have like no services for 100 miles. You literally just get stretches of road where there's nothing. So we got out to the main road and we hitchhiked. We literally thumbed a lift. We stood there with our thumbs out, hoping and praying that someone, preferably a nice woman, would stop and be willing to take us to the nearest village. And like, if people were driving along that road, they had to go to that village no matter where they were going. So luckily, after only about 15 minutes, a woman pulled over for us and we got in and we were talking to her about her life and what she was doing. She said that she used to live in a different state. I don't remember, this was all like quite a while back now, but she studied art history and her dad lived in Wyoming and she visited him for the weekend and fell in love with it and decided to stay. So she was lovely and she dropped us off at a McDonald's in town. We got there at like 10 in the morning and we used their Wi-Fi to call our parents, call the rental car company, and see what we could do about getting our car moved. So after many hours of calling the car company, they were trying to call different kind of mechanics who could come out and jumpstart our car. They finally got someone who was willing to do it. He came to the McDonald's, picked both of us up, and we directed him out to our car. He jump-started our car, and we got to head off. But the embarrassment of having to like explain to the mechanic that like, yep, our car's in the middle of a cow field, like you have to drive along a dirt path, and it felt so much longer, that drive along there, than it did even when we were walking it. Oh, but you know, obviously I would never choose to hitchhike as a mode of transport, but because it all went well and because everything was fine and because the lady was lovely, it was so much fun, and I'm so glad that we had that experience. It's so much more of a memorable day than us just driving to the motel. That remember that time our car broke down in a cow field and we had to hitchhike to the nearest village, which was a 4-mile walk to the road and a 15-mile drive from there to the village. Just so fun, so much fun. So once our car was all sorted, we drove to the motel that we were staying in, and we literally stayed there for 2 nights and didn't speak to each other, like did nothing but lay in bed and catch up on like TV shows and stuff for a full day. We were in a smoking room. Interesting American thing. The smoking detector has been removed, the fire detector, because we were in a smoking room. Fun American quirk. Went to a secondhand bookstore and got another secondhand Stephen King. Excellent. And then after the time that we spent in the motel, we drove back to Salt Lake City, Utah, and then out past it to the Salt Flats of Utah, which you can see here. They were quite cool. You can just drive on them. But yeah, Salt Flats, we're back in Utah, back where we started. It was strange to be like back in the city that we had flown into 3.5 weeks before, and just a really nice way to end our trip on these flats. And then this is our last night sleeping in the car before we both flew out to our final places that we were going to visit in America. And yeah, finished. So the next day will obviously be in the next vlog because this was a Sunday, but that was the end of our Southwest road trip. It was honestly incredible. Like, I think we went to 14 national parks. We went to technically 8 states we drove through, set foot in 6 of them. And it was just like stunning getting to see more of America, getting to know more of America, this kind of very different part than places that we'd seen before. Like, it's very different to the East Coast, very different to the West Coast. And I feel like I've kind of ticked off so many of the places in America that I would want to see. I think the only thing really missing now is the kind of line of states just one in from the East Coast, so like Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, that sort of area, and then obviously Texas. But we ticked off a good amount of states. I'll put in a little map of the states that I visited over this year. But yeah, just like, I'm so grateful to be able to have taken that trip. Sleeping in the car was a lot of fun. I genuinely felt so much joy every night when I would settle down in my passenger seat and we'd watch the sunset and I knew I was going to wake up with the sunrise. Hitchhiking was a lot of fun. Seeing Mount Rushmore, seeing Monument Valley, going to national parks, seeing Colorado. It was just like, I couldn't have asked for anything better. And me and Sarah, in like the end of our trip, we went to a restaurant in Salt Lake City and we were trying to rank our favorite trips that we've been on, because we've been on a lot together. We went to Washington State and Oregon back in autumn. We went to California at Christmas. We did East Coast states for like Christmas Day. We did Washington DC, and then we did this massive Southwest trip. And we both agreed that California was still our favourite, so maybe go back and rewatch those vlogs is what I'll be doing. But this was a very close second, and I think just the fact that it was so long, like 3.5 weeks just of travelling, just of being out in nature, of the things that we got to see, like seeing Coldplay and Phoebe Bridgers, just every memory from it is a good one. There wasn't any time where I felt like, oh, I wish this would kind of just end, or like, oh, I wish we were somewhere else. Just every single second of it, stunning, beautiful weather, good music, stunning nature, kind people, friendly people, just excellent. I really found a love for driving, maybe just automatic cars over this time. Found a love for Stephen King over the last week especially. I did read another Stephen King. I read Gerald's Game, and then different seasons. Just all of it. I think it's memories, like all of my American travels, but especially a 3-week trip, I think, is a memory that I will keep forever and ever, and I will retreat to when I need to escape from Scottish weather for a bit every now and then. But yeah, there is one more week of America travels coming your way in the next vlog, but here is this one for you to enjoy now.